on the runway. Video shows a Southwest passenger flight coming in for a landing, then aborting the landing, averting a disaster with just seconds to spare as a smaller jet crossed into its path. The pilot even asking air traffic control, how did that happen? The details on yet another chilling plane incident.
Well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also, if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
Confusion is spreading over Elon Musk's order for 2 million federal employees demanding they list their accomplishments or risk being fired. Leaders at some agencies are being told it's voluntary, but others are pushing compliance. What Musk is now saying about this directive. A new report predicts egg prices will increase 41% this year. This as families already struggle to deal with rising prices on groceries and everyday items. Now another breakfast chain is putting a surcharge on eggs as costs take a toll on restaurants, from chains to small businesses.
I have never seen a scam to this magnitude, as intricate and as detailed as this.
A simple decision on the internet has led some to lose their entire life savings. So-called gold grifters are posing as government officials and conning people into buying gold bars. Inside the international scheme, stealing millions of dollars, and what's being done to stop it.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with yet another close call on the runway averted by quick-thinking pilots, and the entire chilling incident was caught on camera. Take a look at this. Southwest Airlines Flight 2504 coming down for landing at Chicago's Midway Airport this morning when pilots suddenly see a small private business jet there on the left about to cross right in front of them. The pilot pulled up and missed a collision by about 250 feet. The passengers only found out about this afterwards. This incident is, of course, just the latest in a string of close calls. Just last week, that Delta flight flipped over upon landing in Toronto. And, of course, that tragedy in Washington, D.C. last month, the crash between that American flight and a military helicopter that claimed 67 lives. Gio Benitez leads us off tonight with more on this latest close call and that chilling video.
Tonight, this heart-stopping moment caught on camera at Chicago's Midway Airport, a runway disaster averted by seconds. Watch again as that Southwest 737 comes in for landing this morning. That jet going 150 miles per hour just feet before touching down when the quick-thinking pilots abort the landing, pulling back into the air just as you see that private business jet crossing in front of them. Those Southwest pilots asking air traffic control what went wrong.
Tower Southwest 2504, how'd that happen?
Air traffic control told that FlexJet aircraft not to cross that runway.
Should 560 negative. Cross runway 31 left, hold short runway 31 center.
If the Southwest crew hadn't been so alert and seen this aircraft crossing the runway, this could have been a terrible, terrible tragedy.
Flight Radar 24 data showing that Southwest jet clearing that private jet by about 250 feet. Southwest passengers Kaylee Mask and Emily Novak were on a girls' trip.
I was kind of anxious about flying because there's been so many, crashes and things happening with the planes. I was just very thankful of how everything turned out. Very thankful for the pilot that we had.
There have been more than 60 serious close calls at American airports since 2021. You can hear the panic in the controller's voice during this incident in 2023 when two planes nearly collided at JFK.
Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance. Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance. Rejecting.
And it comes after that deadly mid-air disaster in Washington, D.C. less than a month ago. 67 people killed when an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines jet. And back in Chicago tonight, major questions about today's close call.
A number of questions and concerns for sure. Joining us now is ABC News' transportation correspondent Gio Benitez. So, Gio, what comes next when it comes to figuring out what went wrong here?
So, Linsey, now the FAA and NTSB are both going to investigate this because it's critical to look at. This came incredibly close to being a disaster. Again, just seconds away. You could see that plane just pulling away with just 2,000 feet to go before it potentially hit it. So many, many questions here. We've got to get to the bottom of it, Linsey.
Certainly do. All right, Gio, thank you. For more on this, we're joined now by ABC News transportation reporter Sam Sweeney. Sam, thanks so much for joining us tonight. What decisions would the pilot have had to think about as he realized exactly what was about to happen there?
Well, these Southwest pilots were coming in. They were just feet from touching down, but they're always scanning. They're always looking for traffic, anything that could get in their way, and they were doing their job today. They were trained for this, and at that last second, they pulled up, narrowly avoiding that private jet, clearing it by just 250 feet once they passed over. But had they not been paying attention, or had this been a foggy situation, a stormy situation, dark, this could have been a much different scene.
Yeah, you're so right about that. This is just the latest, of course, in a series of concerning incidents since the beginning of the year. What could be causing this increase in these close calls and near misses at airports and even inside planes like we saw yesterday?
Well, there's been an uptick over the last couple of years, but recently it has actually begun to fall off. And that's because the FAA is putting in new safety procedures. They're installing new lights and warning systems, but they haven't gone far enough. They're not at every airport. The system is overburdened. There is an air traffic controller shortage. There is stress on this system, and one incident is one too many. And that's what they are working now around the clock to get fixed. They need funding, they need training, they need capacity. This situation looks like it appears to be pilot error. That business jet was told not to cross over that runway, but it did. We need to figure out why. They're going to interview the pilots. They're going to interview any witnesses. They'll likely pull the black boxes to see if there were any distractions in the cockpit. This investigation, they want to figure out what happened so they can prevent it from happening again.
And what next steps will investigators take in order to conclude what caused this dangerous mix-up at Chicago's Midway Airport? I mean, you said the black box. Is there anything beyond that? I assume there are a number of interviews as well.
Yeah, they're going to do interviews. They'll do the standard drug test, again, speaking to witnesses, pulling up that video, and they will learn from this. And then in about 30 days, we'll get a preliminary report, and then in the next year or so, we'll get a final report. But again, the ultimate goal of this investigation is to help others learn from this so we can prevent it from happening again.
Sam Sweeney, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Tonight, sources tell ABC News the U.S. and Ukraine have agreed to a deal that would give the U.S. rights to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. This comes after intense pressure from President Trump calling President Zelensky a dictator and holding peace talks with Russia without Ukraine in the room. So what will Ukraine get in return? Here's our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott.
After weeks of an intense pressure campaign by President Trump on President Zelensky, calling the Ukrainian leader a dictator and starting peace talks with Russia without Ukraine, tonight it appears Zelensky is ready to make a major economic deal. A senior Ukrainian official telling ABC News both countries have agreed to the framework of a deal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals. The White House has not confirmed the deal, but Trump tonight in the Oval Office saying Zelensky may visit Washington in the coming days.
It's a very big deal. Look, it could be $1 trillion deal, it could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting a war that should have never, ever happened.
The president asked, what will Ukraine get in return?
With Ukraine and this mineral deal, what does Ukraine get in return, Mr. President?
$350 billion and lots of equipment, military equipment, and the right to fight on, and originally the right to fight. Look, Ukraine, I will say, they're very brave and they're good soldiers, but without the United States and its money and its military equipment, this war would have been over in a very short period of time.
The U.S. has actually provided $119 billion to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Zelensky was hesitant to strike a deal when presented with a plan. Ukrainian officials say the U.S. made no promise of security guarantees. Trump pressed on that late today.
Would you provide military support for Ukraine in the future as part
You mean like security?
Yeah.
Well, people are going to do it. I think Europe will largely be responsible for that. European countries will be responsible.
Rachel Scott joins us now. And Rachel, what are we hearing about a potential visit from President Zelensky to the United States?
Well, Lindsay, a Ukrainian official tells us tonight that President Zelensky is expected to travel here to Washington, D.C. on Friday. The president was asked directly about whether or not he will meet with him at the White House in the Oval Office. He says that he is more than welcome if he wants to sign a final deal together, Lindsay.
All right, Rachel Scott, we'll see how that works out. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, President Trump is set to hold his first full cabinet meeting tomorrow, and the White House says Elon Musk will be there. And when the president was asked if millions of federal workers need to answer that email listing the 5 things they've done at work in the last week, President Trump signaled it's voluntary, but if you don't answer, I guess you get fired. Mary Bruce reports from the White House tonight.
Tonight, the White House announcing that Elon Musk will be there tomorrow when President Trump holds his first cabinet meeting. Musk sitting at the table with some of the secretaries he took by surprise, issuing that directive to more than 2 million federal workers to explain what they did last week in an email or lose their jobs. Some of those secretaries pushing back, telling their workers not to respond or that it was voluntary. Tonight, Trump sending mixed messages.
Well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
In the Oval Office, the president asked if Musk speaks for him.
Is he speaking for you when he says you'll be terminated?
Yeah, everybody speaks for me. I'm the one. I'll take responsibility. You know the old statement, the buck stops here, right?
The White House says more than 1 million federal workers have responded to the email, but Gregory Bell, a Navy veteran who works as a medical records specialist at the Department of Defense, is not one of them. His agency told workers to hold off.
A lot of people they're scared because they don't know what could come next.
Many workers reluctant to speak on camera for fear of losing their jobs.
It's just a lot for me and my family to deal with alone. Because I feel like we kind of became public enemy number one overnight.
For nearly a week, Republican members of Congress have been getting pushback from their constituents. In Georgia, Republican Rich McCormick getting an earful.
Because we are all freaking pissed off about this. You're going to hear it and feel it.
Today, that Republican congressman speaking with ABC's Rachel Scott.
People are concerned about what the Doge really is, what it can do, what its powers are. I think some of their actions have been too rapid to adapt to. For real people. I mean, you're talking about Republicans. You're talking about just Democrats.
And tonight, more than 21 computer engineers and project managers who worked with Doge resigning in protest. They had worked for the U.S. Digital Service, which Doge replaced. In a letter saying, "We will not use our skills as technologists to jeopardize Americans' sensitive data or dismantle critical public services. We will not lend our expertise to carry out or legitimize Doge's actions."
Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. So, Mary, tell us about the president's latest plans for that, quote, gold card.
Yeah, Lindsay, a short while ago, the president announcing this new version of a green card. He says the U.S. will sell a gold card for $5 million to wealthy foreigners who want to move here. This new immigration plan, he says, which he may call the Trump gold card, will be a, quote, very strong path to citizenship. And while he hasn't announced the details yet, the president says the plan will start in roughly 2 weeks and estimates that the U.S. will sell roughly 1 million or more of these gold cards. Lindsay.
All right, Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary. For more now, we are joined by Congressman Carlos Jimenez, a Republican from Florida. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. You've applauded Doge's efforts. Some of your Republican colleagues have received backlash, as you know, at town halls. I want to play what Georgia Republican Rich McCormick told our Rachel Scott today.
I think some of their actions have been too rapid to adapt to. For real people. I mean, you're talking about Republicans. You're talking about just Democrats.
Do you agree with your colleagues? Have some of Doge's efforts been too rapid at the expense of real Americans losing their jobs?
Look, what I've said about Doge is this, is that every bureaucracy needs to be looked at every once in a while. And yeah, you have to start doing some cuts. But I'll also agree with him that some of the way that this has been done could have been done better. I think I like an approach where you have people that have an outside perspective and look at things a little bit differently, tied also with people that are inside the government. That way you can make some of the changes that you want, and some of them may be radical in nature, but also the people that are inside the government can also tell you where the landmines are and the things that you shouldn't step on. And so, yeah, it hasn't been a perfect process, and I think it certainly has room for improvement, but I think that the overall intent is to reduce, waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government, and they have found plenty of that.
Your office, of course, gets calls every day. What are voters in your diverse South Florida district saying about Doge?
I don't think, most of the people that are calling my district office and my office here in Washington are actually from outside my district. And it looks like to be a coordinated effort by outside groups to try to influence, Congress people in their views. And I always find out how many people from my district are actually calling. And I can tell you that that number is rather small.
Today, the latest USDA outlook says that egg prices will increase 41% this year. We know the economy was so critical to voters in the November election. Here's what President Trump told NBC in December about the price of eggs.
When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
Is the Trump administration doing enough to get the price of this everyday staple down again?
Well, look, he's been, in office about a month. And so you really can't gauge the price of eggs right now, based on 1 month's worth of work. We also know that we've had a flu outbreak with chickens that have really affected the price of eggs. I mean, we've had fewer eggs, the price is going to go up. And so I would expect that the economic policies of the Trump administration are going to reduce inflation, because one of the big factors on inflation has been energy prices. And everybody knows that he wants to utilize America's natural resources to bring energy prices down, not only make America energy independent, but make it energy dominant, which again will help the bottom line and help to reduce prices, across the board.
You're on the House Homeland Security Committee. The FBI, of course, is in charge of protecting the U.S. from foreign threats. How do you square the FBI letting go of some new agents with the department's serious mandate to protect our country from terror attacks and beyond?
Well, I think if those agents were actually those that were part of a politicized process, and we in the Republican Party, many Americans feel that the FBI was politicized, and so the agency needs to be depoliticized. It shouldn't matter who you are or what party you're from. It matters what you do in order for the FBI to conduct investigations, et cetera, bring charges, against an individual. For too long, this agency, I think, has been politicized. Not the rank and file members of the FBI, but some of the upper echelon, I think, has been politicized. I think there's a new sheriff in town. He wants to depoliticize the FBI, and so I'm going to give him the reins. The president is, and I think Congress is going to give him, the space to reinvent the FBI to what it used to be, so that we can have confidence again in what they do.
So there's no aspect of you that's concerned at all about America's safety, while there are fewer officers at this point?
No, I believe, again, that, we have a lot of law enforcement officers in the country. It has to be done. It has to be depoliticized. A lot of Americans have lost confidence in the FBI. We need to restore that confidence. And so, we need to give the new director the leeway in order to reorganize and reconstitute the FBI in the way that we have traditionally felt about the FBI, nonpartisan, non-political, and justice needs to be blind.
Congressman Carlos Jimenez, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's my pleasure.
Now to an arrest in Texas tonight. A 21-year-old is in custody accused of plotting to kill police officers. Let's get right to ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas. And Pierre, the FBI says agents thwarted what could have been a mass casualty attack. What can you tell us?
Yes, tonight Corpus Christi police are holding a 21-year-old who they say was planning to ambush white police officers in a mass casualty attack. Authorities claim Andrea Grigori had discussed using an AR-15 assault pistol to kill police, and they say Grigori had been inspired by a 2016 massacre launched by a sniper in Dallas who fatally shot 5 officers and wounded 9 others. Local police recently locked in on Grigori after being alerted by FBI officials who had an informant who had been communicating with Grigori for months. According to the FBI, the informant provided a series of ominous text messages from Grigori, including one saying, "I planned on shooting and killing cops like the Dallas killer planned for years." Lindsay, authorities fear this plot was real, and court records say Grigori had a fully loaded assault pistol when he was arrested.
Potentially a tragedy averted there. Pierre Thomas, our thanks to you. Now to the mysterious deaths of 3 American women while on vacation at a resort in Belize in Central America. What investigators are looking at tonight to find the cause of their deaths. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers.
This luxury beachside resort in Belize now at the center of an investigation into the deaths of 3 American tourists found in their room by hotel staff.
Inside one of the rooms, they came across the lifeless body of 3 female persons.
Police saying surveillance video shows the group of women in their 20s coming back from a tour Thursday evening.
They went back to the room, didn't leave the room.
After multiple attempts and no response, housekeeping alerting hotel management Saturday they had not been able to reach the guests in that room, eventually using a master key to get inside.
It's heartbreaking.
Kathleen Hubbard, staying at that resort, describing the tragic scene.
We knew something was going on because we saw the ambulances, we saw the police.
Investigators now trying to determine a cause of death. Police say they're testing the room for carbon monoxide, but added alcohol and gummies were found in the women's room.
We're not saying at this time that the gummies caused death, but we're looking at every possibility.
Our thanks to Matt Rivers. More troubling news about the price of eggs. The USDA is now predicting prices will rise 41% this year. That's double their prediction from a month ago. A growing number of restaurants have already raised their prices. Will others soon do the same? Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, with a nationwide egg shortage from bird flu, the USDA now warns the price of eggs is expected to jump more than 40% this year, double the increase projected just last month.
The prices are really high. Scarcity, $10 a carton. I got really think twice about that.
And more restaurants are passing those high costs on to customers. The Denny's chain is now joining Waffle House, adding a temporary surcharge to meals with eggs at some of their 1,300 locations. The price for a dozen eggs on average is up 96% over the last year. The beloved Hungarian pastry shop in New York City goes through 30 dozen eggs every day.
Those cases have all doubled in price in the last month. Easy. Some of them more. So.
And you're eating that cost right now?
Entirely.
With the cost of eggs soaring, owner Philip Benyoris says it's only a matter of time before he's forced to hike prices.
We're getting pinched, and I don't know where it's going to stop, and that's the problem.
So many feeling the trickle-down effects of that. Ariel Reshef joins us now. So, Ariel, any news on what action the new administration could potentially take to try to keep these prices in check?
Well, the truth is, Lindsay, not yet. The Trump administration is expected to unveil its plan to curb the bird flu as soon as this week. But in the meantime, we talked to business owners who say with Easter just around the corner, which will drive the demand for eggs so much higher, they are worried this problem could get even worse. Lindsay?
All right, Ariel for us. Thanks so much. The Supreme Court has ruled that Oklahoma death row inmate Richard Glossip receive a new trial. Convicted of capital murder in 1998, Glossip has been scheduled for execution 9 times and has eaten his last meal 3 times. But new evidence surfaced in 2023 that showed prosecutors knew a key witness had lied on the stand. The Supreme Court ruled today that Glossip was denied his constitutional right to a fair trial. The woman accused of trying to steal Elvis Presley's Graceland estate has pleaded guilty to 1 count of mail fraud in Memphis, Tennessee. Prosecutors say Lisa Finley tried to extort Presley's family by forging signatures of his late daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, and a notary. She planned to seize the estate and sell it at auction. Finley is due to be sentenced in June. The trial of an Illinois landlord accused of murdering a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy and critically injuring his mother began today. 73-year-old Joseph Zuba is charged in the 2023 stabbing attack on Wadia Al-Fumi and his mother. Zuba has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and attempted murder. The boy's mother testified today that Zuba told her, your people are killing people and babies in Israel, to which she responded, pray for peace. Coming up, scientists believe they've found the clearest evidence yet that the planet Mars was once habitable and even had sun-kissed beaches. But next, it starts as a simple computer pop-up, but an international scheme is using gold bars to scam Americans out of their entire life savings. Stay with us.
They have no conscience about what they're doing. None. All they're in it is for the money. And whether they ruin lives or not, whether they take all people's funds or not, it doesn't matter to them at all.
On the Friday night before the Oscars, where's the one place to see the stars, the nominees?
Mind-blowing. Powerful.
Audacious. So fun. Revealing interviews.
I've never pushed myself so much as an actor.
What everyone's talking about.
I don't have an off switch. I don't have the thing that says this is enough.
You had me in tears. You and your co-star, Ariana Grande.
Oh my goodness.
Countdown to the Oscars with Robin Roberts.
Don't be wicked, Robin.
But I want to be popular.
Friday night on ABC.
I'm 110% ready to fall in love.
Tall, handsome, smart. He's perfect.
Time just stood still. It's kind of already sinking in that these other girls are dating my boyfriend.
Everybody just really wants Grant, and we're all fighting for his love.
You act like you don't care.
He knows how I feel.
I know I'm in trouble.
Everyone's so mean.
I did not know how hard this was going to be.
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do crime, now's the time. Happy first day of school.
Yes! Weren't there like 4 more of these?
Yeah, we were robbed.
Hey, buy 3, get 1 free.
I'ma call your mother on you. Bring the rest back here, boy.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia. In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza. Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere.
My wife wanted to be seen as the perfect mom, so she created a YouTube channel.
A Mormon happy family, but only what we wanted to show them.
Weird things started happening. Ruby said the children were demonically possessed. That blew the powder keg.
I'm still recording! Ruby has crossed a line of abusive to psychotic.
Boys.
Auntie?
Oh. This is how your father's business works. The life of crime and the life of this deli.
We're innocent. We'd be the first innocent brown people in jail. Oh my God.
There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
Welcome back, everyone. Clicking on a pop-up ad on your computer could end up with you handing over gold bars in a supermarket parking lot near your home. It's an international scheme that's costing some Americans their entire life savings. ABC News Investigates has spent the last few months working with ABC-owned stations WABC in New York and WLS in Chicago to uncover how millions of dollars are being lost and what's being done about it. In tonight's Prime Focus, we bring you Gold Grifters from WABC investigative reporter Dan Krauth.
Chris Owen is a Vietnam veteran who traveled the world. He worked his entire life to save for retirement in Indiana with his wife, Karen.
Karen and I had traveled a number of places, lived a lot of places, and then in 1989, we moved to Valparaiso, Indiana. And Northwest Indiana was a good spot to live.
Chris and Karen hoped to spend decades of their retirement together. They moved hours away to live near their son and hoped to travel the globe soon after. But that next chapter would never happen. Karen was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit.
And so all of our plans for travel and everything kind of went out the window. And so it was in February of 2023 that she passed away. And so it's been pretty rugged. Probably one of the reasons I was so susceptible to what happened to me.
Owen believes the loss of his wife led him to falling victim to a scam that would cost him $80,000 and led him to becoming an undercover operative to try to put a stop to an international fraud ring, a scheme that has stunned authorities.
I have never seen a scam to this magnitude, as intricate and as detailed as this, that can target so many individuals across the entire United States.
Have you ever investigated a crime like this before?
No, this is pretty unique.
A scheme that has led to some behind bars over gold bars.
Hello, this is a free call. An inmate at the Nassau County Jail.
Tonight, ABC News investigates Gold Grifters, the scam that is on the rise, targeting people across the country. Gold is worth more now than ever before, and people are stockpiling the precious metal in record numbers.
With inflation stubbornly high, some people are looking to gold as an investment.
And business is booming at gold stores. As the value of gold has gone up, scammers have taken notice. Last year, victims of gold scams reported losses of $126 million, according to the FBI.
Everybody knows gold is worth something.
So how are swindlers taking advantage of this gold rush? One day you're browsing the internet when you see something like this, a pop-up message saying your personal information has been compromised. You call and speak to someone posing as a tech company representative or federal agent.
The victim is told, hey, your money's being used to engage in money laundering or drug sales or child pornography.
Some victims, like Owen, will even receive what they believe are documents from the FBI, saying the IRS will freeze all your financial accounts if you tell anyone about the situation.
The pop-ups themselves, the documents they're provided, the communications seem so authentic.
Scammers will then convince you to convert some or all of your savings into gold bars and hand them over to the federal government.
The victim thinks that they're on the phone with somebody from the FTC, let's say. That individual is telling the victim, the only way that we can protect your assets is if you withdraw your money from the bank and you go buy gold.
There's a sense of urgency. Your account's compromised right now. You need to move your money right now.
Once the victims have bought the gold bars, they're given detailed instructions.
They told me to wrap it in a box, wrap it with Christmas wrap paper.
Then when the gold is boxed up, their handlers say,
we'll make it super convenient for you. We'll send a courier, a federal courier, to go pick up these gold bars from you.
According to officials and court documents, couriers are individuals recruited to pick up gold bars or cash from victims.
They're giving individuals pickup locations. It may be a grocery store parking lot. It may be a shopping center.
Like this one in Maryland. Take a look at this surveillance video. Watch as an accused courier picks up a box from this car and walks away. Owen says the same thing happened to him in this parking lot near his home.
I asked you for my agent. He nodded. He never said anything to me. He nodded and drove off.
When the courier drove off, so did some of his life savings. The FBI says some couriers play a larger role in the criminal scheme, while others claim they were simply hired to pick up and drop off packages.
So you picked up gold and cash?
Yes.
Didn't that raise any alarm bells to you?
For the first time, ABC News hearing directly from an alleged gold scam courier, speaking out from jail as he faces charges in 2 states. 27-year-old Yash Shah was previously charged with multiple felonies in 2023 related to the gold bar scam. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 5 years probation.
It sounds crazy to actually listen to a stranger to convert your cash into gold and hand it over to a complete stranger. But people are doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like something out of a movie.
Shah claims he was hired by someone in India and was paid between $800 and $4,000 to pick up packages. Some of them contained gold.
I'm not like a criminal or anything like that. They was just saying, if you want to make a little more money, you have to go pick up the package and you have to just drop it over there. Nothing else you had to do.
Shah was living in Long Island, New York, but his attorney says he would travel all over the Northeast as a courier.
How many packages do you think that he picked up and dropped off?
If I had to estimate, anywhere from maybe between 5 and 10.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
And a lot of life savings.
It is.
I asked Shah what he would do with the gold packages after he picked them up. He said he'd often take them to the Diamond District in New York City. After some time, Shah says he became suspicious.
I was feeling like I don't want to do this because I was feeling like something weird things.
He was arrested in November in New York for his alleged involvement in a Maryland case and is being held without bond.
I don't even know how they were scamming and why they were scamming. I was feeling like very guilty and I'm feeling very wrong about that too.
Well, I want to be clear. Yash's culpability is definitely there. He understands what he did.
Shah claims he does not know who is pocketing the gold, but says he is fully cooperating with investigators.
There are going to be many layers on this because they're operating from India.
FBI officials are on the ground in India, investigating call centers they say are linked to the scam.
The tech support pop-up that initiates the whole scam emanates from a call center in India. So we have a lot of focus on India with a lot of these illegitimate call centers.
We've been able to link at least 2 call centers in India that we are targeting.
While law enforcement overseas looks into the criminal organizations that run the call centers, authorities all over the United States are tracking down suspected couriers. Some couriers are being sentenced to several years in prison after police sting operations. But in Indiana, it wasn't a detective who went undercover.
I was a bit nervous at first.
It was Chris Owen.
I was just anxious. I didn't know where he'd be coming from or anything like that.
After Owen handed over $80,000 in gold bars, scammers contacted him again, asking for more.
And then they came back and started again. Now we need to put the rest of the money away in our secure vault with your other money. That's when I knew that this was a con.
After going to his local police and FBI, authorities had Owen go undercover and arrange a meetup with the courier. The suspected courier, Abdul Mohammed, was eventually hit with state and federal charges, but prosecutors say he fled the country. A not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. Officials say they're looking to target and arrest all the individuals behind the scheme.
We are absolutely looking for the next level, those individuals who have come up with this entire scheme, who are repeatedly engaging and targeting victims here in the U.S. and specifically Montgomery County, Maryland.
You're pretty affluent by most standards. You got some dough. They're always coming after the dough.
Police and prosecutors are now traveling to senior communities like this one in Maryland. It sits right next to a shopping center where a victim handed over gold bars to a courier.
I think that one of the main things anybody who's in law enforcement can do against any scams, particularly those that target our seniors, is to advise them and to educate them about what those scams are.
The FBI issuing an urgent warning to anyone who uses the internet.
Never click on sites that you're not familiar with. Take a beat. Talk to trusted family members, friends. Does this seem right?
Chris Owen is still trying to put the pieces together.
And it did look real. It felt real.
He never thought a sophisticated overseas scam would come right to him.
They have no conscience about what they're doing. None. All they're in it is for the money. And whether they ruin lives or not, whether they take all people's funds or not, it doesn't matter to them at all.
So many losing so much. Our thanks to Dan for that. Coming up, the major development tonight for that historic pig transplant patient we've profiled here on Prime. But next, how inflation is changing spending habits and forcing Americans to shift life plans. We take a look by the numbers. Stay with us.
I'd never seen that many skeletal remains. Thousands.
This killer, he's the dumber you've never heard of.
There were mannequins, almost like it was a club.
I felt the presence of evil.
Never before a face-to-face interview with the camera.
Why now?
Let me ask you, am I the evil culprit, the accomplice?
I'd like to know how the audience views me.
The Fox Hollow Murders, playground of a serial killer, only on Hulu.
People do not know how to date. That's why they come to us.
As a matchmaker, we're here to help you get your wings on.
Let's get some people married. Why are you single?
Maybe the kind of guys that I go for.
You go for hot guys.
Yeah.
It's a pitfall.
What would you say are like the top things you're looking for?
You don't like hairy men, so all Muslims are out. What are you talking about?
This process doesn't have to suck. He's cute.
Make it happen, boo.
It started with a spark.
Getting that golden ticket today.
Good luck coming out the golden ticket.
That grew into a light.
Will change my life.
I know you're nervous.
Show me a place where dreams come true.
I've never seen anything like it. You're going to Hollywood.
My dream came true.
There are surprises in every person.
Where dreams come true.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state, and that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story. As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live.
Right there, as events unfold across the day, breaking down the day's top stories. ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do prom, now's the time. Happy first day of school.
Yes! Weren't there like 4 more of these?
Yeah, we were robbed.
Hey, buy 3, get 1 free.
I'ma call your mother on you. Bring the rest back here, boy.
I'm 110% ready to fall in love.
Tall, handsome, smart. He's perfect.
Time just stood still. It's kind of already sinking in that these other girls are dating my boyfriend.
Everybody just really wants Grant, and we're all fighting for his love.
You act like you don't care.
He knows how I feel.
I know I'm in trouble.
Everyone's so mean.
I did not know how hard this was gonna be.
Boys.
Auntie? Oh.
This is how your father's business works. The life of crime and the life of this deli.
We're innocent. We'd be the first innocent brown people in jail. Oh my God.
There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
Reporting from the floating pier off the coast of Gaza, I'm Martha Raddatz. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. Consumer confidence in this country dropped dramatically this month, far below economists' expectations. Inflation, tariffs, and pessimism about future employment prospects have people worried. And many say they're cutting back on spending. Who's not cutting back on spending? The very wealthy. All that in tonight's By the Numbers. February's month-over-month decline in consumer confidence was the largest in more than 4 years, beating out the drop in August of 2021, according to the business research group The Conference Board. Backing that up, 76% of Americans now say they're curtailing their spending. That's up from 67% in 2024, according to the Wells Fargo Money Study. A majority of respondents to that study also said that they're delaying some life plans. The top item getting cut from their budget, 74% said travel. Coming in second were home renovations. One group that has most definitely not been affected by inflation and has not cut back on spending, the top 10% of earners, or those households making about $250,000 a year. That group, benefiting from rising property values and stock market investments, now accounts for half of all spending in the U.S., according to Moody's Analytics. In comparison, the top 10% of earners accounted for about 36% of all spending just 30 years ago. Coming up, a new HBO special tells us the impossible but true story about a group of college basketball players whose job it was to prepare NBA All-Stars for the 1992 Olympics. The only problem? The college players wound up beating the pros in a scrimmage. NBA great Allen Houston is here to tell the story. And beer drinkers beware, your next six-pack could cost you. How impending aluminum tariffs might impact craft breweries in particular. Stay with us.
Are you a monster?
No, I don't believe I'm a monster.
How did she die?
When the tests came back, I thought, are you kidding me?
She's been poisoned.
Caitlin Connolly, convicted of poisoning the mom of her boyfriend.
A jury found that Caitlin committed manslaughter. For 7 years, the law agreed.
Then, last month, an appeals court overturning Caitlin's conviction.
Will you convene a grand jury to reindict Caitlin Connolly?
Little Miss Innocent, freed, now streaming on Hulu.
From Pixar comes an all-new original series.
Everyone is chasing the feeling of a win.
Hey, Lori, you're famous.
But if someone wins,
You're not funny.
somebody has to lose. What did I just do?
One story.
No matter what happens, you are all winners.
Told from 8 sides.
We'll make it work.
We always do.
Better not blow it.
Disney Pixar's Win or Lose. Available February 19th only on Disney+.
What's good to watch? Read? Where can I get a great deal on what I'm just dying to buy? Oh, it's all right here. GMA Life. All the exclusive and buzziest celebrity good stuff. Deals and steals with amazing savings and the coolest lifestyle tips from Good Morning America.
Get excited!
I love that so much. It's time for GMA Life.
GMA Life, streaming weekends on ABC News Live. Your weekend just got a little better with GMA Life.
Boys.
Auntie? Oh.
This is how your father's business works. The life of crime and the life of this deli.
We're innocent.
We'd be the first innocent brown people in jail. Oh my God.
There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do crime, now's the time. Happy first day in school.
Yes. Weren't there like 4 more of these?
Yeah, we were robbed.
Hey, buy 3, get 1 free.
I'ma call your mother on you. Bring the rest back here, boy.
I'd never seen that many skeletal remains. Thousands.
This killer, he's the Dahmer you've never heard of.
There were mannequins, almost like it was a club.
I felt the presence of evil.
Never before a face-to-face interview with a camera.
Why now?
Let me ask you, am I the evil culprit, the accomplice?
I'd like to know how the audience views me.
The Fox Hollow Murders, playground of a serial killer, only on Hulu.
After a groundbreaking procedure, the recipient of a pig kidney transplant heads home from the hospital. Small businesses scramble to adapt to President Trump's tariffs. And according to a new study, the planet Mars once boasted a coastline and beaches. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
The longest-living pig kidney transplant recipient is heading home to Alabama 3 months after her successful procedure. She's in great health and good spirits. ABC News spoke exclusively with Tawana Looney just days after her surgery last November at NYU Langone, where she received a gene-edited pig organ. In 1999, Looney donated one of her kidneys to her mother and then suffered from high blood pressure, which damaged her remaining kidney. Her immune system would have rejected a human donation, and her future seemed bleak until a groundbreaking, genetically modified pig gene changed everything. Tech giant Apple's shareholders voted to keep the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, rejecting a proposal from a conservative think tank. The company was presented with a plan from the think tank to follow in the footsteps of other large retailers who've walked back some DEI goals to align with the Trump administration. After the vote, Apple released a statement saying, in part, how we conduct ourselves is as critical to Apple's success as making the best products in the world. The mother of a 6-year-old Muslim boy who was stabbed to death was the first to take the stand Tuesday in his accused murderer's trial. Opening statements started in the trial of Joseph Shuba, who was accused in the hate crime attack. Shuba is charged with murder and attempted murder for allegedly attacking his tenants, 6-year-old Wadia Al-Falumi and his mother. The boy died from his injuries and his mother was critically injured. Shuba has pleaded not guilty. The price of Bitcoin fell below $90,000 Tuesday morning, erasing some of the gains digital assets have made since President Donald Trump took office on a pro-crypto agenda. The president's son, Eric Trump, urged people to, quote, buy the dips as Bitcoin prices plummeted. The highly volatile digital currency has still increased significantly since Trump's election. President Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on aluminum is already having an impact on businesses. For one, the craft beer industry is drafting a plan bracing for 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports.
It's like trying to figure out, are we going to have to raise prices? And that's the last thing that we want to do.
Industry leaders said bottles used to be very popular for craft beer, but that changed about 10 years ago, so an alternative is not readily available. The tariff is set to go into effect on March 12th. A new study suggests the rocky desert landscape of Mars used to have rivers, lakes, and even beaches. A team of researchers from the US and China found evidence of one of these Martian beaches on an expedition, finding perfectly preserved sandy slopes about 10 feet below the surface that could have been washed up by waves of an ancient ocean. The discovery could be the clearest evidence yet that the red planet once had a more hospitable environment.
The WNBA's all-time leading scorer Diana Taurasi has announced her retirement after 20 seasons. Taurasi steps away as one of the most decorated players in women's basketball history. She was the #1 draft pick after playing college ball for the UConn Huskies. Over 2 decades, she scored more than 10,000 points and helped lead the Phoenix Mercury, the only WNBA team she ever played for, to 3 championships. In August, Taurasi also became the first basketball player to win 6 Olympic gold medals. The USA's 1992 basketball Olympic dream team was larger than life. But what if I told you that the team, which included Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, the list goes on, they actually lost to a practice squad of college basketball players. Now that historic upset is the subject of a new HBO documentary called We Beat the Dream Team. Take a look.
And I remember we go up to the top, like this balcony, to look over the practice session. The most competitive practice session you'll ever see.
Here to tell us all about it is former NBA All-Star, Olympic gold medalist, Mr. Allen Houston. So glad to have you here.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, in full disclosure to everybody, so Allen is family, but I am still going to ask you some very difficult questions, all right? I have one I've saved for you coming up at the end.
I'm sure.
But first, let's just talk about, because we've never discussed the rule change for 1992 Summer Olympics, how in the past, leading up to that year, they would have college students who would participate. You're in Tennessee, you likely would have been on that Olympic team, but because of this change, they decide they're going to have these pro players go on there, including, as we just talked about, the likes of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. And so you don't get to play, but you get to play against them just to help them prep. So how were you feeling? Was it a little crestfallen that you were feeling?
No, I mean, I think when they announced that the 92 team would be the team of the greatest players ever assembled, I think as college players, we were like, okay, let's just focus on being a pro. And so, but when we got there and we got to experience it, I think a lot of the conversation was, hey man, like, could this have been us?
So you guys win, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but theoretically you do beat the dream team, greatest basketball team ever assembled. Did you go in thinking that that was even a possibility?
Well, I think what happened was when we were there for 3 days, we got ready, had some great coaches, George Raveling, Roy Williams, and the team themselves. And then when we got there, and you saw at the beginning, we were up on this balcony, and it was like the gladiators, right? You go into this, and you saw them practicing, and you see all the things that you saw them do prior. When we get out there, I think they planned on organizing the practice in such a way, and then Chuck Daly says, let's scrimmage, let's go. Obviously, we didn't know how it was going to be against them, but as a competitor, you're going out there to compete. We kind of left the awe, I think, once we left that balcony, we went downstairs, and when you step on the court, you're like, all right, it's showtime, and now we're just going to see what happens.
What did you all learn in that downtime that you had with these larger-than-life players? And meanwhile, they're talking a lot of junk to you in the very beginning. We see that in the documentary, Larry Bird, kind of, hey, get some rest. But you all in your own right, Penny Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn, Grant Hill, you go on to become legendary on various NBA teams.
And you see these interactions and how they live their life. All you see is just like them on the stage, under the spotlights. You don't get to see who they are as normal people. And that's what I enjoyed, is kind of spending those times. And they gave us their shoes, and now you put them in your trophy case, and Patrick gave me his shoes, and then when I signed with the Knicks,
you end up playing with him.
When I signed with the Knicks, I was like, Patrick, I still got those shoes you gave me from the Dream Team, and so that, to me, that mentorship that we got in that quick moment really showed us not just how to be on the court, but off the court.
All right, here's my hard question.
Okay.
So I wasn't expecting this, but Chuck Daly, who was the coach of the Dream Team, Coach K says he threw the game. Do you believe that, or did you all really win?
Nobody believes that. And I talked to Grant about that, and it was good. I think, okay, so I'm a coach's son, so I can kind of think about what I think is being interpreted, right? To me, once the snowball happened, I think what happened was Chuck was like, look, we're getting our butt kicked, so I'm gonna let this go. Like, there was no timeouts, there was none of that. But we can't assume that the greatest competitors ever were going to just sit back and say, well, this is good, we're going to let this happen.
Right.
No, your competitors, it just happened so quick that there was nothing they could do at that point, at that time, as evident the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Right, next day, it was a different story.
Right.
They locked in, but in that moment, look, time told the story.
And 30 seconds left. Just tell us about Fizzle. We see it on your clothes there.
Faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, legacy. You know, it's a life coaching platform for youth. My father and I are passionate about youth. So we just want to continue to spread that message. We have licensed apparel. We have a media platform that we're launching. But thank you for allowing me to talk about it. But it's everything. It's all the principles of life that I've learned throughout this path and that I want to pass on to my family and those who have been able to touch.
So fun. This is the first time we've ever worked together like this.
Wow.
Really
it happened so fast.
Blessing to be able to have you on the show tonight, Alan. Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you. We Beat the Dream Team, currently available to stream on Max. And we do want to go to some developing news on Capitol Hill. After a delay, the House is actively voting on their budget resolution, which would start the process of advancing President Trump's sweeping legislative agenda. Let's go to our Jay O'Brien. So, Jay, I thought that everything was closed down. They weren't going to vote. You're in your car about to leave. Now, all of a sudden, everybody rushes back. Tell us about that and where the voting stands right now.
High drama here, Lindsay. So House Republicans spent about an hour on the floor before they called this vote trying to work on holdout votes. We know there are 4 holdout votes, and under the math, depending upon how many are present and voting, Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 2-1. So 4 is an untenable number for him. It appeared that at least not enough of those holdout votes got to yes. Ultimately, Republicans appeared to cancel this vote. We saw members streaming down these stairs, getting into their cars here and leaving the Capitol, only to be told just about 15 to 20 minutes later, maybe even less than that, to come back because House Republican leadership were putting the vote back on. It's unclear if they have flipped enough holdout votes. Again, that vote is happening now as we speak to actually pass this budget. We know for a fact, because we just talked to one, that they did flip one holdout vote. Congressman Warren Davidson told me just moments ago he did vote yes. He got guarantees on spending cuts. He got other guarantees on government funding, which is going to be a fight for Congress come March. Again, unclear if they got enough holdout votes to flip, but certainly GOP leadership in the House appearing more optimistic because they looked like they were canceling this vote, and then they were putting it back on. We saw members flagging down cars trying to stop people from leaving here, Lindsay. Again, high drama.
Still 30 no votes there, 1 nay. You said that there were 4 holdouts. You talked about the one who has kind of changed his tune here. Who are the other 3 holdouts?
So they are Victoria Spartz, Thomas Massey, and forgive me, why am I losing my train of thought?
I totally put you on the
Thomas
spot
Massey,
here.
Warren Davidson. No. Victoria. And excuse me, Tim Burchett, of course, who I just spoke with earlier on in the day. It's getting a little cold out here for D.C., believe it or not, Lindsay. But anyway, it's unclear if Tim Burchett changed his vote. I talked to him earlier on in the day, and he said he had a conversation with President Trump. President Trump, we know, has gotten on the phone with some of the holdouts, but Burchett wouldn't tip his hat as to which way he went, even after that conversation with President Trump. And I asked him, are you worried about defying Trump here? And he said no, that he was going to vote his conscience. Again, we don't know how he's voted, but we know that GOP leadership viewed him as one that they could flip. Now, Thomas Massey, Victoria Spartz, the other 2 holdouts that I just mentioned, they are much harder to flip. They are much firmer in their positions, particularly Thomas Massey. So if you're Mike Johnson, you still have your work cut out for you to flip some no votes into yes as this vote goes on. But again, GOP leadership appearing more optimistic now than they even did earlier on in the night, because clearly they feel they've gotten some momentum because they've called everybody back to work and they've put this vote back on, Lindsay. We had one congressman say to us on the steps here that he was home. He was getting into his pajamas before he got called back here. I asked Speaker Mike Johnson just before this vote, if this vote fails, will you lose the trust of President Trump? Because Mike Johnson had said to the president, give us the ball, let this run the ball over the goal line, let us pass this budget for you. He said no. He thinks even if this vote fails, he believes he's not going to lose the trust of the president, Lindsay.
Okay, so the time is up at this point, so we'll see how this ultimately goes. But we do know, regardless of what happens here, this isn't the final vote on the budget. what will happen next ultimately. Let's just hypothetically say that it does pass.
Yeah, it kicks off the budgeting process. So the Senate then would have to pass this budget blueprint because, again, this is not the final budget. This is just the blueprint that when it gets approved, if it gets approved, kicks off the budgeting process and starts this months-long process of various committees in the House formatting the budget and, frankly, formatting the cuts that House Republicans want to make to the various federal agencies that are under the purview of those committees. Now, House Republicans have set a goal in this budget of $2 trillion of cuts across the federal government. And what Democrats have pointed to is the fact that you can't achieve those cuts in their view, and the math really adds up to this effect, without sizable cuts to entitlement programs or safety net programs. Those are Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Republicans have promised up and down that they're not going to touch Social Security and they're not going to touch Medicare, and that leaves Democrats to say that they are bracing for sweeping cuts to Medicaid, which is that program, again, that health insurance program for low-income Americans and Americans with disabilities. I've talked to Democrats who say if Republicans really do tee up Medicaid for these significant cuts, that they're going to make voters remember that come the November midterms, Lindsay.
All right, all very interesting. We'll, of course, keep an eye on what's happening and how this vote does go tonight. Jay O'Brien, our thanks to you. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up, health officials in Texas are now sounding the alarm about a measles outbreak there. Cases have already nearly doubled to the state's total number of measles cases from all of last year. And tragedy in Gaza as multiple babies freeze to death in just one night, why so many are being exposed to extreme cold.
I'd never seen that many skeletal remains. Thousands.
This killer, he's the dumber you've never heard of.
There were mannequins, almost like it was a club.
I felt the presence of evil.
Never before a face-to-face interview with a camera.
Why now? Let me ask you, am I the evil culprit, the accomplice? I'd like to know how the audience views me.
The Fox Hollow Murders, playground of a serial killer, only on Hulu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We'll have more on the House vote on the budget resolution, which would start the process of advancing President Trump's sweeping legislative agenda. We begin with another close call on the runway averted by quick-thinking pilots and the entire chilling incident caught on camera. Take a look at this. Southwest Airlines Flight 2504 coming down for landing at Chicago's Midway Airport this morning when pilots suddenly see a small private business jet there on the left about to cross right in front of them. The pilot pulled up and missed a collision by about 250 feet. The passengers only found out about this afterwards. This incident is just the latest in a string of close calls. Just last week, that Delta flight flipped over upon landing in Toronto. And, of course, that tragedy in Washington, D.C. last month, the crash between that American flight and a military helicopter that claimed 67 lives. Gio Benitez leads us off tonight with more on this latest close call and that chilling video.
Tonight, this heart-stopping moment caught on camera at Chicago's Midway Airport, a runway disaster averted by seconds. Watch again as that Southwest 737 comes in for landing this morning. That jet going 150 miles per hour just feet before touching down when the quick-thinking pilots abort the landing, pulling back into the air just as you see that private business jet crossing in front of them. Those Southwest pilots asking air traffic control what went wrong.
Tower Southwest 2504, how'd that happen?
Air traffic control told that FlexJet aircraft not to cross that runway.
Should 560 negative. Cross runway 31 left, hold short runway 31 center.
If the Southwest crew hadn't been so alert and seen this aircraft crossing the runway, this could have been a terrible, terrible tragedy.
Flight Radar 24 data showing that Southwest jet clearing that private jet by about 250 feet. Southwest passengers Kaylee Mask and Emily Novak were on a girls' trip.
I was kind of anxious about flying because there's been so many, crashes and things happening with the planes. I was just very thankful very thankful of how everything turned out. Very thankful for the pilot that we had.
There have been more than 60 serious close calls at American airports since 2021. You can hear the panic in the controller's voice during this incident in 2023 when two planes nearly collided at JFK.
Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance. Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance. Rejecting.
And it comes after that deadly mid-air disaster in Washington, D.C. less than a month ago. 67 people killed when an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines jet. And back in Chicago tonight, major questions about today's close call.
Our thanks to Gio Benitez. We want to go to some developing news on Capitol Hill. Actually, tonight, sources tell ABC News the U.S. and Ukraine have agreed to a deal that would give the U.S. rights to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. This comes after intense pressure from President Trump, calling President Zelensky a dictator and holding peace talks with Russia without Ukraine in the room. So what will Ukraine get in return? Here's our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott.
After weeks of an intense pressure campaign by President Trump on President Zelensky, calling the Ukrainian leader a dictator and starting peace talks with Russia without Ukraine, tonight it appears Zelensky is ready to make a major economic deal. A senior Ukrainian official telling ABC News both countries have agreed to the framework of a deal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals. The White House has not confirmed the deal, but Trump tonight in the Oval Office saying Zelensky may visit Washington in the coming days.
It's a very big deal. It could be $1 trillion deal. It could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting a war that should have never, ever happened.
The president asked, what will Ukraine get in return?
With Ukraine and this mineral deal, what does Ukraine get in return, Mr. President?
$350 billion and lots of equipment, and military equipment, and the right to fight on, and originally the right to fight. Look, Ukraine, I will say they're very brave and they're good soldiers, but without the United States and its money and its military equipment, this war would have been over in a very short period of time.
The U.S. has actually provided $119 billion to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Zelensky was hesitant to strike a deal when presented with a plan. Ukrainian officials say the U.S. made no promise of security guarantees. Trump pressed on that late today.
Would you provide military support for Ukraine in the future as part
You mean like security?
Yeah.
Well, people are going to do it. I think Europe will largely be responsible for that. European countries will be responsible.
Rachel Scott reporting there. Meantime, President Trump is set to hold his first full cabinet meeting tomorrow, and the White House says Elon Musk will be there. And when the president was asked if millions of federal workers need to answer that email listing the 5 things they've done at work in the last week, President Trump signaled it's voluntary, but if you don't answer, he said, quote, I guess you get fired. Mary Bruce reports from the White House tonight.
Tonight, the White House announcing that Elon Musk will be there tomorrow when President Trump holds his first cabinet meeting. Musk sitting at the table with some of the secretaries he took by surprise, issuing that directive to more than 2 million federal workers to explain what they did last week in an email or lose their jobs. Some of those secretaries pushing back, telling their workers not to respond or that it was voluntary. Tonight, Trump sending mixed messages.
Well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
In the Oval Office, the president asked if Musk speaks for him.
Is he speaking for you when he says you'll be terminated?
Yeah, everybody speaks for me. I'm the one. I'll take responsibility. You know the old statement, the buck stops here, right?
The White House says more than 1 million federal workers have responded to the email, but Gregory Bell, a Navy veteran who works as a medical records specialist at the Department of Defense, is not one of them. His agency told workers to hold off.
A lot of people they're scared because they don't know what could come next.
Many workers reluctant to speak on camera for fear of losing their jobs.
It's just a lot for me and my family to deal with alone. Because I feel like we kind of became public enemy #1 overnight.
For nearly a week, Republican members of Congress have been getting pushback from their constituents. In Georgia, Republican Rich McCormick getting an earful.
Because we are all freaking pissed off about this. You're going to hear it and feel it.
Today, that Republican congressman speaking with ABC's Rachel Scott.
People are concerned about what the Doge really is, what it can do, what its powers are. I think some of their actions have been too rapid to adapt to. For real people. I mean, you're talking about Republicans. You're talking about just Democrats.
And tonight, more than 21 computer engineers and project managers who worked with Doge resigning in protest. They had worked for the U.S. Digital Service, which Doge replaced. In a letter saying, "We will not use our skills as technologists to jeopardize Americans' sensitive data or dismantle critical public services. We will not lend our expertise to carry out or legitimize Doge's actions."
Mary Bruce for us. More troubling news about the price of eggs. The USDA is now predicting prices will rise 41% this year. That's double their prediction a month ago. A growing number of restaurants have already raised their prices, while others soon do the same. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, with a nationwide egg shortage from bird flu, the USDA now warns the price of eggs is expected to jump more than 40% this year, double the increase projected just last month.
The prices are really high. Scarcity, $10 a carton. I got really think twice about that.
And more restaurants are passing those high costs on to customers. The Denny's chain is now joining Waffle House, adding a temporary surcharge to meals with eggs at some of their 1,300 locations. The price for a dozen eggs on average is up 96% over the last year. The beloved Hungarian pastry shop in New York City goes through 30 dozen eggs every day.
Those cases have all doubled in price in the last month. Easy. Some of them more. So.
And you're eating that cost right now?
Entirely.
With the cost of eggs soaring, owner Philip Benyoris says it's only a matter of time before he's forced to hike prices.
We're getting pinched, and I don't know where it's going to stop, and that's the problem.
Health officials are sounding the alarm over the expanding measles outbreak in Texas. Just this week, 34 new cases were reported in the state. There have been 124 cases in all. 18 patients have been hospitalized this year, and in 5 cases, the patients were vaccinated. The rest were unvaccinated or their vaccination status unknown. For context, last year, there were a total of 285 measles cases nationally. An alarming mystery illness has killed more than 50 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The World Health Organization believes the illness began in a village where 3 children died after eating a bat. Symptoms include fever, vomiting, and internal bleeding. More than 400 cases of the illness have been reported in the last 5 weeks, and in nearly half of the fatal cases, patients died within 48 hours of falling ill. Coming up, a massive power outage is causing chaos across Chile, why 80% of the country is in the dark tonight, and what it will take to restore it.
I'm 110% ready to fall in love.
Tall, handsome, smart. He's perfect.
Time just stood still. It's kind of already sinking in that these other girls are dating my boyfriend.
Everybody just really wants Grant, and we're all fighting for his love.
You act like you don't care. He knows how I feel.
I know I'm in trouble.
Everyone's so mean.
I did not know how hard this was gonna be.
It was a kidnapping, torture case.
A crime of greed and cruelty.
The men tortured the victim by beating, tasing, and burning him.
And this is where it gets really horrible. The guy was cutting off my roommates. It was like a bad dream.
This crime was horrific.
He's a psychopath.
How could you possibly defend somebody like that?
This was a story about greed, sadism, evil.
Wicked Game, Devil in the Desert, only on Hulu.
My wife wanted to be seen as the perfect mom, so she created a YouTube channel.
A Mormon happy family, but only what we wanted to show them.
Weird things started happening. Ruby said the children were demonically possessed. That blew the powder keg.
I'm still recording!
Ruby has crossed a line of abusive to psychotic.
On the Friday night before the Oscars, where's the one place to see the stars, the nominees?
Mind-blowing.
Powerful.
Audacious, so fun.
Revealing interviews.
I've never pushed myself so much as an actor.
What everyone's talking about.
I don't have an off switch. I don't have the thing that says this is enough.
You had me in tears. You and your co-star, Ariana Grande.
Oh my goodness.
Countdown to the Oscars with Robin Roberts.
Don't be wicked, Robin.
But I want to be popular.
Friday night on ABC.
Boys. Auntie? Oh.
This is how your father's business works. The life of crime and the life of this deli.
We're innocent.
We'd be the first innocent brown people in jail. Oh my God.
There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
I'm Matt Rivers in the Israel-controlled Golan Heights. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. 3 newborn babies froze to death in Gaza overnight, according to Gaza's health ministry. A total of 6 children have died due to the extreme cold in the Strip over the last 2 weeks. There's been no central electricity in Gaza since the first days of the war, and fuel for generators is scarce. Many families huddle on damp sand or concrete as temperatures have plunged in recent days. Residents say there are also shortages of blankets and warm clothing, and little wood is available for fires. A massive power outage struck Chile today, leaving 80% of people across the country without electricity. The outage caused chaos from the mining-intensive north to the central and southern regions. It paralyzed businesses, knocked out streetlights, and even affected Santiago's subway, which transports millions of passengers every day. Electricity transmission companies said that they're investigating the origins of the failure and working to restart service. The Vatican reported Pope Francis met church officials today as he remains hospitalized in critical but stable condition in Rome. The Vatican also said that the Pope has not had any new breathing issues and that he underwent a CT scan for his pneumonia. Doctors say his prognosis remains guarded. Ashley Cooke is one of country music's fastest rising stars, earning multiple recent award nominations, including New Female Artist of the Year at the 2024 Academy of Country Music Awards and Best New Country Artist at the 2025 iHeartRadio Music Awards. She earned critical acclaim for her 2023 debut album, Shot in the Dark, which featured her very first #1 country radio song, Your Place. And she has now embarked on her next chapter of music, starting with a new collaboration with Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers titled All I Forgot. Let's take a listen. Ashley Cooke joins us now, so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's start where we just left off there with All I Forgot. It really seems like a heartbreak anthem there with Joe Jonas. How did he get involved in, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, recently having gone through a breakup, and I just really related to the words and what it meant. I mean, the whole song is basically, you know, you go out, you have a good time, and you think you're trying to forget the person that you're trying to forget, and then all of a sudden, you just remember them.
That's
like a giant wave coming back in, and I loved it. I related to it. Joe did as well.
Just last week, you performed this song for the first time live in Nashville at the Country Radio Seminar's New Faces. For those who don't really know how Nashville works as far as country royalty, what is it like to be on the stage singing country music in Nashville?
It's huge, especially at a thing like Country Radio Seminar for New Faces, which was a thing that I had won and been a part of a program where basically the whole country radio industry votes to see who's the next face in country. And I was picked as one of the top 5, which is really, really cool.
And you've said that your next album, which is expected later this year, is going to be brutally honest. Can you give us a smidge more? What's it going to be so honest about?
Yeah, I think, honestly, with my first album, you know, I think I was writing a lot based off of what would sound good on the radio and what would people want to hear from me, and kind of more what everybody else wants from me as a people pleaser. I think I just naturally thought that way in my younger 20s. But I think that this era, it just feels a little different.
The Your Place tour, you're here in New York performing at Gramercy Theatre, and then you're going to be going to Australia and New Zealand. What made you just choose those places? And is country really big there?
Also, girl, I'm like, whoa, I'm going to go all over the place. Yeah, it is. It's huge there. I feel like, you know, Australia, New Zealand, we just toured in Europe with Jordan Davis this past year, getting to play all over the country with my headline tour, Your Place, like Gramercy this week and stuff. Country is everywhere. I really feel like country is one of those genres where there is a fan base in so many places that you maybe wouldn't expect.
You partnered with Souls for Souls, which gives clothes to kids in need, also shoes. What made them important for you?
Yeah, I think to me, I want to take any time I'm ever given something on in this platform to give back in some way. And Souls for Souls, I actually had kind of been involved with when I was younger and worked with them, and they're just a really wonderful organization. They focus on putting shoes on the feet of every kid in America, and I think that's really cool because you see the direct correlation between shoes on kids that maybe can't afford it or maybe have different, backgrounds than other people do, and the confidence that they have walking into school, walking into work, whatever it may be, with a new pair of shoes. They've seen the direct correlation, and I've gotten to do some work with them in Nashville and be a part of events with them, and you see them light up because they may have not had the opportunity to go new shoe shopping for school or something like that, and that's, I don't know, I think it's just a really important factor for confidence, and I hope that every kid in America and all over the world gets the chance to have that confidence walking into a place like school where they get to learn all day, every day.
So important and meaningful. Thank you for that, as well as your wonderful storytelling. Ashley Cook's latest single, All I Forgot, featuring Joe Jonas, as well as her debut album, Shot in the Dark, are available wherever you stream your music. And her Your Place tour has multiple dates coming up in the Northeast and Midwest. Coming up here on Prime, a miracle in Pittsburgh, how the medical staff of a university team came together to save a man's life.
Boys.
Auntie?
Oh. This is how your father's business works. The life of crime and the life of this deli.
We're innocent.
We'd be the first innocent brown people in jail. Oh my God. There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
It started with a spark.
Getting that golden ticket today.
Good luck coming out the golden ticket.
That grew into life.
Will change my life.
I know you're nervous.
Show me a place where dreams come true.
I've never seen anything like it. You're going to Hollywood.
My dream came true.
There are surprises in every person.
Where dreams come true.
The news never stops.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state, and that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story. As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live. Right there. As events unfold across the day, breaking down the day's top stories. ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is. And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend. ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I'm 110% ready to fall in love.
Tall, handsome, smart. He's perfect.
Time just stood still. It's kind of already sinking in that these other girls are dating my boyfriend.
Everybody just really wants Grant, and we're all fighting for his love.
You act like you don't care.
He knows how I feel.
I know I'm in trouble.
Everyone's so mean.
I did not know how hard this was going to be.
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do prom, now's the time. Happy first day in school.
Yes! Weren't there like 4 more of these?
Yeah, we were robbed.
Hey, buy 3, get 1 free.
I'ma call your mother on you. Bring the rest back here, boy.
We want to go to some developing news on Capitol Hill. The House just voted on their budget resolution, which would start the process of advancing President Trump's sweeping legislative agenda. The House has just wrapped up their vote, gavelled out just moments ago. Let's go to Jay O'Brien in a moment. I know there had been a lot of concern, since yesterday, a lot of hand-wringing with regard to if the Republicans would have enough votes for this to go then along to the Senate. Obviously, this is not final. At one point earlier this evening, the vote had been called off. Lawmakers had started getting in their cars to go home. Then they were all of a sudden rushed back in to vote. And so we want to send it out to Jay O'Brien, who's live with us there at the Capitol. It seemed all day like, as the young people say, the math just wasn't mathing. What happened ultimately, Jay?
Yeah, Lindsay, we were just inside this gaggle with Tim Burchett, Congressman of Tennessee, who's still talking to reporters here. I just asked him, why did he change his vote? Because Tim Burchett was one of the 4 holdout votes. He said that, in his view, because ultimately he was assured there are significant spending cuts inside this budget blueprint that House Republicans gambled to put on the floor tonight. And he was assured by President Trump that there are serious spending cuts. The drama of this was that Tim Burchett was among 4 holdout votes who didn't seem to move in their vote after an hour of leadership working on them. So House Republican leadership ultimately sent everyone home, appeared to cancel this vote, and then lawmakers rushed back in here when leadership put the vote back on because they appeared to have moved some no votes into yes votes. We saw lawmakers sprinting up these stairs to go vote. And ultimately what we heard from members is that they got assurances, or they were just worked on enough by House Republican leadership to change their votes. Ultimately, 3 of those 4 no votes turning into yes votes, including Tim Burchett and then Warren Davidson and Victoria Spartz, all turning from no votes into yes votes. Thomas Massie, a longtime spending hawk, was the only vote, who was no on the original process of this and no at the end of this vote later tonight, Lindsay. But certainly high drama on Capitol Hill, an unusual turn of events. Votes almost never, if ever, get canceled and then put back on, a sign of the slim majority that Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is having to grapple with, and the trust that President Trump put in Johnson, that he put on the line in this vote tonight to get this budget, just the first step in the budgeting process, to get this blueprint, passed on the House floor tonight.
So what happens next?
This kicks off the budgeting process. Again, this wasn't the budget, as I mistakenly just referred to it. It's just the budget blueprint. Now the Senate has to pass this blueprint, and it starts the process of these various House committees looking at massive cuts to the federal budget, also significant tax cuts, $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. This budget calls for $2 trillion in cuts to federal spending. Democrats have said that there's no way that you can achieve that number without cutting Medicaid, the insurance program for low-income Americans. So a long process ahead of us, Lindsay.
All right. Well, we'll be here covering it for our viewers. Jay O'Brien, we know you will as well. Thank you so much. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want